Hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney, and I'm so happy that you're here. This podcast is a place for conversations about balancing a healthy lifestyle and being happy. More specifically, happy hour. Together, we'll explore all things wellness and wine. I hope you learn a little, laugh a lot, and along the way, know you're not alone on this balanced wellness journey. Ready to jump in? Pour something in your glass that makes you happy because it's time for Spandex and Wine. Hey, welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney, and I appreciate you being here. So you know when you meet someone you resonate with and you're not sure exactly, but you know the friendship will evolve and create a special bond. Maybe it's now, maybe it's later. Well, that's how I feel about Grace. You'll hear how we met 10 years ago and just messaged or liked each other's posts on Facebook. But recently, actually with this episode recording, we connected on a different level. I'm excited to share that soon a project we are working on together will be out with a few other extraordinary women. So sorry to tease, but we'll release that information in the coming months. For today, I hope you enjoy the conversation that I had with Grace and that it inspires you to take steps to become a better version of yourself, spread joy despite anything that is going on in your life. Here she is. Well, hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast, Grace. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
I know, I am too. It took us a little while to connect and, we had a hard time going back and forth. And then you took a break from social media, which I so admire. I mean, that's amazing. I need to do that as well. But here we are.
We're here finally. The time must be perfect for today.
We're here. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I was thinking back as to how we met, and it was quite a while ago because it was right after I opened my studio in 2014. And we both were at a networking event together. Do you remember that?
Yes, I could not remember when it was, but 2014, that's crazy.
I know, a long, long time ago. And I remember the two of us were sitting at the same table, and I think they broke us into groups. I can't remember, but I remember the lady standing up and she was like, "This is a networking group for women. We don't allow any drama, da 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 da." And as soon as they split into groups, there were two ladies in our group that were like, "Do you know what she did? Da 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 da." And we're like, "Okay, this is not the group for us."
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Oh gosh, I don't even remember the name of the group. Not that I would say it, but anyway, I am happy to see you again. You look lovely as always.
Thank you. Thank you. You as well.
Yeah, and I want to start with you just sharing your story, if you don't mind, and you can start wherever you want, and you can include whatever you want.
Okay. My story's so complex, so it always depends on what part of my story. I think for the most part, my story is just a story about challenges, growing up in a home with a mother that was very, very loving, but also an alcoholic. And so that caused us to have to move around quite a bit with family in and out of foster care, 8 different high schools alone. Me getting pregnant at the age of 17. And yet and still at 18, having that child and then adopting my sister as well. So now at 18 years old with one biological child, one legal child as well. And then to still, despite all of that, manage to go to college and graduate, with a bachelor's degree in nursing. Mm-hmm. Teaching was my first love, but when I found out how much teachers made, I was like, I don't think I can do that. So I went with my second love, which was nursing, and did that. And then through that, went on to get my master's degree and become a nurse practitioner. But in the midst of those things, having lost my brother, my sister to a car accident, my brother to suicide 6 months apart, followed by my grandmother, my father, my mother. So just a series of losses in my life, yet and still continuing to move forward and press through. And then going through just a tumultuous marriage and divorce and the murder of my stepson, which led right into COVID. So
Oh my
I've not had
gosh.
my share of challenges. But I think my story is that also that throughout all of those challenges, I always had these random, what I call God winks, because I was 18 on a random campus when a random woman came up to me and said, "Are you interested in studying abroad?" And I'm like, "I don't even speak another language." And she said, "Oh, we'll take care of that." I said, "I don't have the money." She said, "We'll take care of that." Don't know who this woman is to this day, but she
Wow.
organized all the process for me to go and leave for a month to study. In Oaxaca, Mexico, which changed my life because
Wow.
when I was there and I saw that level of poverty, I came back here and our system within the foster care system really fosters this victim mindset. And so but going there, I'm like, I cannot claim to be a victim when I see what these children are enduring. And so I just came back with the fire to defeat the odds, to be successful despite, what it looked like on paper. And I've done that. And that's been sort of the stream throughout the story of my life is that there were all these challenges and negative things, but weaved through there was always these moments where doors would open or things would happen in my life that just didn't make sense that I know, could only be God leading me. And so
Hmm.
that's also the part of my story. And so during COVID, wrote 2 books while my son was being diagnosed with epilepsy. So there's always like high up and high down, like right
Oh,
at the same time. And so, yeah, a story of resilience and, recovery and healing for myself from years of, abuse and having to go through that process. And then my last challenge that I overcame, which was alcoholism. And with two
hmm.
years and 4 months of sobriety, that's something that I'm probably most proud of all the work that I've done.
Yes, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank
Wow. And I only knew a part of your story. I didn't realize all of that. And you said you had your share of life's challenges. You had more than your share of life's challenges. And I am telling you, whenever I see anything that you post, anything that you say, you are the most positive and inspiring person that I know. I mean, I can't even imagine now knowing everything that you've gone through, but still for you to be just this wonderful light in the world, you're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that comes from, I know there were just these random people who would be lights in my world, not knowing what I was going home to, not knowing that I was going home to no electricity, mice in the house, none of those things. But just one word that they might have said to me gave me just a little bit of hope to keep going on. And so I know the power of one word, one hug, one nice thing. I know that power because it has been that power, that light that has moved me to where I am. And so my thought is if somebody else can be that for me, if I can be that for just one person, then I've done my job, and that's what I wake
Yeah.
up and hope to accomplish every day.
Oh, and I know you do. Like you have a wonderful following. I know you inspire so many people, including me, on a daily basis. Yeah, I'm just so grateful that we had that connection so many years ago. And, we've just kind of kept in touch on Facebook. So I'm just so happy to be a part of and witness your journey. That's
Yeah,
just, it's incredible. And that's one reason why I wanted to have you on is because it's so hard. So, yeah, it's so easy rather for us to just get in this mindset of, well, this is the way that it's going to be. This is what I'm just going to have to settle for this, or I can't do that workout, or I can't, write that book, or, we just get it in our head that we can't do it. How in the heck do you stay in a place where you're of a can-do attitude?
yeah. For me, it's I don't attach what my goals are to how I feel. How I
Okay.
feel has no place in what I'm going to do today. If I waited to feel like working out, I would probably, and people think I love it. And there are days that I do, but there's a lot of days that I don't, but it doesn't matter. This is the commitment that I've made to myself. So I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And that for me, taking the emotions out of things and looking at what is my goal? How do I get there? Then I have to do it. Like, so it doesn't matter how I feel, what's going on in my life, how things look. I've made a commitment that I would do this exercise. I've made a commitment that I would keep a positive mindset. So even in the midst of chaos, it's my job to find that one little light that I can hold on to and, feel the emotions. I also don't, subscribe to not feeling the emotions, but I'm not led by that emotion. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I feel you, you're tired. Well, maybe you'll take a nap after this walk, or
Yeah.
maybe. And so that philosophy has worked for me for all my life.
That's great. That's great. So on an average, what does an average week look like you for working out?
For working out, I either do so I shift between 5 days, at least 30 minutes a day, or I'll swap to a 3 day, 1 hour workout for 3 times a week, depending
Okay.
on, I'm also a single mom and I work full time. And so if they have tons of games and I've looked at the week and I'm like, I need sleep here, I need meditation here. Part of my workout is not just my physical exercise, my meditation, that's a really important part. And so then I'll allocate that time that I have, which is going to be most effective that week. So either 3 hours or 3 days, 1 hour a week. And that's my minimum, or that
Hmm.
5 30 minutes. And then it might go up from there depending on, what I feel like or who calls me to do extra, but that's my base.
That's great. That's great. It's great that you're so consistent too, because I
Oh,
mean, we
yeah.
both know how important that is.
Oh, yes, yes. Being consistent has been so important to me, and also having a community of people that you do this with helps me to be consistent. Because if there's a moment that I am like having a low moment and I'm getting those 2 days a week, inevitably my friend just called last week, let's start biking together on Thursdays. Perfect. Another friend called last week, Tuesday night, let's start walking. So I walked with her last night. I'm biking. So my community is so filled with, I really
Yeah.
surround myself around people that wellness is their mindset, because that has been so important. You are what you eat. You also are the
Hmm.
people that you hang around,
Yes,
And
that's
so
true.
that's very helpful. And being willing to be flexible and change it up. If
Hmm.
I'm not getting consistent, if I'm not being consistent, I'm usually bored. So giving myself permission to do something different, go find a different avenue, join a class that I have to pay. Sometimes having to spend that money, like if I am, if I'm
Yeah.
really feeling, spend the money, because I'm going to show up if I pay that money. So do what you need to do to make sure you make it. And that's what works for me.
Yes, yes. No, I agree. And I love that you mentioned taking care of your mental health
Mm.
and you use the word wellness because a lot of times when we think of health, we just think of our workouts and what
Mm.
we put in our body, what we eat.
Yeah,
But that is such a huge component to take care of your mental health as well. And I feel like, that's kind of been a thread with all of my guests. And now I think everyone is recognizing, oh, this is something super important. And, it should be really that we start with that.
definitely. Well, and I think even things like meditation, those things are both mental and physical. And there's
Hmm.
so much research around that. And so that's so important for me that it's I get two for the price of one. I'm
Yeah.
taking care of my mental health, I'm taking care of myself, but it also helps to improve some of the physical things too. So that's great. And when my mind is in a more positive state, then everything's going to ripple off of that. It's going to be easier for me to choose healthier, more foods that are more helpful to my body if I'm feeling grounded when I start the day. If I'm scattered all over the place from the beginning of the day, then probably that's how my whole day is going to be. So now I'm grabbing this. So it
Yeah.
centers me in the day to say, I am leading my day. And it's mindful. It's the first step in me being mindful, meaning I'm going to make a choice about how my day is going to look. I'm not going to allow my day to drive me. Next thing you know, it's the end of the day, and I'm like, what did I do today? No, like
Yeah.
I know what I did today because I'm the driver of this.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. It's really good advice. Yesterday, I was at the end of the day and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. I don't think I can do any more. What did I get done? And it's exactly right. Like you have to set the tone at the very beginning of the day. You have to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to accomplish it. And if you don't, make all those goals, that's okay. It's going to
Yeah.
be okay. It's going to
I
be there
always
tomorrow.
circle the ones that I'm going to feel really good if I do these today. And then the rest, it's like I want to get those done, but if they don't happen, but there's always 1 to 3 that these are like I can celebrate myself. Because I usually I'm not, 2 young kids, 3 actually. And so there's always 10 to 15 things on my to-do list every day. But I'm
Yeah.
like, these 3 right here, okay, yes, at the end of the day, I got those done. Because celebrating yourself is so important. People don't underestimate that. But when you feel good about yourself, and you are celebrating yourself, then it helps to build your motivation. People say, how do you get motivated? There's all these different things. I know my why. I give myself rewards and I celebrate myself. I don't need somebody else to say, good job, Grace. I'm telling me, good job, Grace. You did good.
That is wonderful. And I've heard it said before that if you wait to be motivated to do something, you're not going to do it. Like you have to take action first, and then motivation will follow to help you continue doing and what you're doing and stay on that path.
I totally agree. Action creates motivation. I do for me, I think developing a strong why and
Hmm.
then making that decision date of when you start. We've been with my patients, though. I say, well, when are you going to start exercise? Well, I'm thinking about next week. And I said, well, let's pull your calendar out. Let's give me a day. How about today? What do you got going on today?
Yeah.
Like, what? Today? Yes, today. Like, what are we waiting on? So don't delay the thing that you know you need to do because there's always going to be another reason, to
Yeah.
delay. And so, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
action. You got to take action, even
Yep.
when you feel like it.
Yep. Absolutely. And you had mentioned that you have written 2 books. Tell us about your books.
So my first book is about overcoming anxiety. And my second book is about launching yourself into entrepreneurship and building the confidence that you need to do those things, to work in that maybe a place that you don't know all the answers, you don't know, but so just building your confidence when launching a business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my next question is, how did you find time to write a book with everything that you have going?
The same thing, dedicating that time. Like for me, with the number of things that I have to do, I have to be a planner. I have to look at it the same way I have to exercise when I don't feel like it. I have to write. I have to set this time. Here are the 2 hours you're going to write every single day. And I sit down and write. And so that has worked for me. I'm working on book number 3 right now, which I'm really excited about. And it's the same thing. It's setting the goal, allotting the time, and then sitting down and doing it no matter what.
Yeah. And I think making it a priority, like when people say, I don't have time to work out or I don't have time to do this. I mean, I catch myself, I don't have time to read. I have time. I just have
Yeah,
to make it a priority.
exactly. Yeah, or look at it and then figure out where is your time going because
Yeah.
maybe you don't have time, but maybe there's something that you can take off that you're doing that is taking precedent over this. So many people are involved in 3, 4 different activities, but I'm like, but if you don't have a heart, you won't be able to make it to any of those 3 things.
Yes.
If you have type 2 diabetes and you're having to have insulin all day long, these are things that I say to myself because these are factors that I don't want. These are preventable things that I know if I do my part, I don't have to have these things. And
Yeah.
so if I don't do this, I won't have that. Okay, well, one of those 3 can go.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
that's how it
so
works.
I want to know what you do for yourself. You said that you celebrate yourself, but I also want to know what your self-care go-tos are.
I love a nice walk in the park. I just not for exercise, but just to
Yeah.
enjoy the nature, just to watch the birds. I'm a bird watcher. I love watching the birds. I love going to the zoo. I love coffee shops, just sitting there 2, 3 hours doing that. I love my bike rides, not for exercise. There's a
Yeah.
different level of intensity, but just for that. I love to go and listen to music. I love festivals and art festivals, and anytime I can find to dance, even if that's in my own living room, I will
Yeah, that's
turn
great.
the music on and dance. And those are so, and I love to read. I love
Okay.
to read. So, just sometimes I just sit out in my car because I don't really feel like going anywhere, but I don't want to be in the house. So I'll just roll the windows down and just sit in the car and read my book. And that's really fun for me.
Yeah,
I
that's
love to eat,
great.
so I love to go to different restaurants. So, yeah.
That sounds pretty good to me. Yes. So you said that you're writing another book. I'm wondering, do you do any kind of online courses or coaching?
I have coached in the past. It's something that I am definitely wanting to do more of in the future and in this next year coming up. That is definitely something I'm looking to create courses and then do more coaching.
Nice. Yeah, I think that you would be fantastic at that.
Yeah, I just got to take the leap.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, and congratulations on your sobriety. I think
Thank
that's
you.
wonderful. And I've had several people on that have stories of sobriety, and it's so inspiring.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's one of those things where in the beginning people actually told me, don't talk about that. You shouldn't mention that. But for me, I truly believe that alcoholism is a disease. It has symptoms. It is familial. And if we don't start talking about it, then we'll watch our children, our grandchildren, other people's children and grandchildren progress with something that could have been addressed when it was mild had they known this was a disease. Had I known that because my grandfather had it and my mother had it, that my chances were increased. Maybe I would have noticed, that from the very beginning, I never had just one. I always had five. And I thought that was just how people drank. And I
Yeah.
would have known that you don't have to have a DUI to have this disease, that you don't have to lose your house. It's not about those things. Our point of reference for alcoholism is severe. It's the person under the bridge. But there's
Yeah.
always people in the middle who are dying from this disease because no one is talking about the people who have alcoholism that go to work every single day, that do things
Hmm.
in the community. But when they take a drink, who knows where it's going to go? And
Yeah.
that's the way it looked for me. And it took a very long time for me to recognize it because it wasn't my mother's alcoholism. I didn't sit at home
Oh,
and
okay.
drink. I never drank at home. And so I'm
Huh.
like, well, how can I be an alcoholic? I'm not drinking at home. I'm not abusing my children. When that was my point of reference. Both my mother and my grandfather drank a lot. They drank at home and then they beat their family members. Well, that wasn't my
Mm.
story. And so I
Yeah.
couldn't see it myself in that disease for so long because of that. And so today I know alcoholism is the inability to drink just one. I mean, there's lots of different measurements, metrics, but one just says, do you have more than you plan to drink on multiple occasions?
Mm.
Do you tell
Okay.
yourself you're going to have one and somehow end up with more? Have you ever woke up the day after and had regret about what you drank? I mean, that when I ask my patients that question, the number of women that will begin to cry, and I talk about this because this disease is killing more women
Yeah.
than anything. And it's because we don't talk about it. And it looks so different in women. It looks very
Yeah.
different. And so, yes, I'm grateful that I was able to recognize it and that I'm able to treat it now and live alcohol free and a great life alcohol free.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah. Just another way that you're inspiring people.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
Yes.
it. So.
Yeah. So I'm curious how people can find you. So on different social media handles, if you have a website.
The biggest place to find me right now is on Facebook. If you're
Okay.
looking for motivation, inspirational messages, resilient messages, how to get through tough times, how to just enjoy life, how to be in a world that's chaotic, how to not have a chaotic life, how to not have a chaotic mind, but have a life that's really filled with peace and joy and happiness despite what goes on outside. And you can find me at Grace Yasmine on Facebook. Yeah, and Yasmine is Yasmine, and Grace is just like it sounds, Grace.
Nice. I'll make sure I put all that in the show notes as well as links to purchasing your book
Yes, yes. And you can find my book on Amazon. Becoming Fearless that's the one I would say recommend first.
first. Okay. But I'll put both of them in there.
Okay.
And then hopefully soon, as soon as you get the third one out, let me know because I can update the show notes at any time.
Okay, I will do that for sure.
Yes. Well, Is there anything that you would want to maybe give a piece of advice to the person out there that right now is just feeling hopeless?
I think to the person who's feeling hopeless, I would just say that there's nothing that you can't get through. Don't lose sight of hope and don't let go of the light. And whatever it is that you're going through, know that this too somehow will pass, but you also have to take the steps to get out of the darkness, because the darkness typically doesn't move on its own. But you can get out of it. You can do this, and life can be so much better. You just have to take a few steps towards the light.
Nice. That's great advice. Great, great advice.
Thank
I
you.
so appreciate you being here. Thank you for sharing your time, your story. It's very inspirational, like I said.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Grace is phenomenal. Her story of resilience is one we can all learn from. Here are the takeaways. 1, God winks are real and are all around us. They will find you if you allow yourself to receive them. Doors will open. 2, there is power in words, hugs, and random acts of kindness. Spread them all around as often as you can. You might just be the light that saves someone from darkness. 3, don't attach your goals to how you feel. If you wait to be motivated to hit your goal, you're going to be waiting a while. Action creates motivation, so get moving. 4, wellness encompasses all aspects of our life. Your fitness regimen, your nutrition, your relationships, your mental health. Nourish each area for a state of well-being. 5, when your mind is in a positive state, everything will ripple from there. Start your day centered and grounded to ensure the rest of your day runs smoothly, to the best of your ability. 6, make the choice to have a good day. Don't let your day drive you. You are in control. 7, celebrate yourself and your successes. It will help build your motivation to keep going. 8, do not delay the things you know you have to do. There will always be a reason or an excuse. Just do it. 9, plan and prioritize what you want to accomplish. Set the goal, allot the time, then make it happen. Another big thank you to Grace for sharing her time with us and inspiring all of us. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to follow Spandex and Wine so you don't miss an episode. To do this, just go to the podcast and click subscribe or follow wherever you are listening. Look for the plus sign or follow button. This is one of the best things that you can do for the podcast. If you'd also be willing to give a 5-star review, that would be amazing and much appreciated. Lastly, please share an episode with a friend or 5 to keep the love going, and join the Spandex and Wine community in our private Facebook group by searching Spandex and Wine. Feel free to reach out to me at any time by emailing info@spandexandwine.com or text me at 913-392-2877. I appreciate you. Thank you.